officially, after 700,000 years of not recording any of these videos, I am recording this one. This is the first book review video of the year. It is May. So I haven't really been behind, I guess. It's more so that I just haven't been recording any videos. Because I've already finished 5 books. Like, in a week, I'm gonna be ready to record the second video, for the 6th book. And I'm trying to do 2 books per month. But I'm behind right now. Obviously, by the end of April, I should be done 8. I should be reading my 9th book by now, and I'm only reading my 6th book. So, yeah, I'm 3 behind. Which is fine, because I can catch up, right? But all I have remaining are, like, longer books, and I tallied them up. Not tallied them up, like, organized them by word count to see, is there anything quick that I can just get through right now? And the shortest book I had was still like 120,000 words, and that's the one I'm reading right now. Yeah. I'll tell you more about that next time when I'm talking about reading those. But first, I read, as I told you in the last video, I was reading so I read one of these books, right? Because this is 5 of them. And that was 13 at Dinner, also known as Lord Edgware Dies. Though I'm pretty sure that's British only. Me personally, I don't like the title Lord Edgware Dies, but in the book they think Lord Edgware Dies. That would be like a great title for a book, just sitting on the shelves. And I'm like, no, it wouldn't. I don't like the title. And 13 at Dinner, like, it could have been a really good title if it made sense, but in the context of the book, it barely makes sense. Like, it's kind of like a passing plot point that doesn't really amount to anything. You know what I mean? So, it's a murder mystery. We don't know who Agatha Christie is. She wrote murder mystery books, and she died 50 years ago. 49, I think. So, my review of this murder mystery, I guess, was the murderer easy to figure out? And the answer is yes. Spoilers, if you don't want to know who the killer is, I don't remember her name anymore, but the actress woman, I thought that yes, it was very obvious that it was her, specifically because of all the nonsense going on with her announcing herself as being herself. And I'm like, okay, so this is a red herring. We're supposed to think, oh, they're announcing that, it's her, so it must be someone just pretending to be her. But no, that's trying to get you to off her scent. It really was her the whole time. And I thought that was fairly obvious. I didn't get every part of the book, of course, but the moment it got into, the 2 girls, like, switching places and whatnot, I thought I saw it coming from a long way away. But I have never watched the show version of this, or if I have, it was so long ago that I literally could not tell you a single thing about it. So, I don't even know what I gave this. I might have given it, like, 7.5 stars, maybe 8 out of 10. I don't know, the rating will be on screen if I can find it in Storygraph. I rated it months ago, like 5 months ago, or 4, because I finished it like January 3rd. It only took me 3 days to read. This book, on the other hand, did not take me 3 days to read. You'll remember Mr. David Foster Wallace from books that I've read on this channel, such as that one. This is much shorter than Infinite Jest, and it is also much less complete. So, he died, not accidentally, writing this book, and the editor, who edited, all of his previous fiction, I guess, took it upon himself to take all of his writings and all of his loose plotting and try to construct it into a publishable book. And I've spoken about this book before, I'm sure, on this channel. But essentially, it's a book about himself, in a way. He's like a character in the book, and he calls it nonfiction, but almost all of it is fiction, except for the specific descriptions of how the IRS worked in the 80s and 70s when this takes place. He worked at the IRS kind of like either during or right after university, but only for like 2 years. This book shows kind of what he did in those 2 years, but it also follows like every person he worked with. So there's like 20 different people, 20 different general storylines and histories and whatnot. And he said he wanted the book to feel like something was always threatening to happen, but then nothing would ever happen. As I'm sure I've said this somewhere before. And that's very much true about this book, but this book feels unreviewable simply because it is so not done. Like, let's just put it this way. There's no ending. That's it. There's no ending. The book doesn't really amount to anything. And the bigger issue is that the things are threatening to happen, but nothing ever actually happens. Almost nothing is threatening to happen in this copy of the book, which just makes me feel like, oh, I wish he would have finished it. And based on notes from the editor, not notes from the editor, but like the editor said, based on David Foster Wallace's notes, that he was most likely planning for this book to be up to 700 or 800,000 words, and this is only around 225,000 based on the math that I did. That's not even close to being done. Not even remotely close. So there's not a lot of threatening for anything to happen. It was definitely interesting enough that I finished it, of course. But I couldn't recommend this book. Let's just put it this way. If you liked Infinite Jest and thought, oh, another quirky book about the IRS this time with an ensemble cast again, that would be really fun. It's nowhere near as fun as Infinite Jest. It's nowhere near as funny as Infinite Jest. And I don't think it's necessarily trying to be. And it is nowhere near as complete as Infinite Jest. This is like what you'd want a sequel of Infinite Jest to be without being a direct sequel. You know what I mean? Just the second book by the author. But this was like a really, really bad first draft. Not... It wasn't bad in that it was unedited. It was very edited. Like, this is very polished, but there wasn't much to polish. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of nothing, but not in the same way that there was a lot of nothing in Infinite Jest. Infinite Jest had a lot of nothing that amounted to a story that came to a big closing kind of in the end. This book more so had a lot of nothing happening that amounted to a lot of nothing happening in the end. Like, I couldn't tell you what the end of this book even was anymore, because I finished it like 2 months ago at this point, and I legitimately could not tell you what happened at the end of the book. So yeah, that's my review of that book. That it's unreviewable in this state, and so it will never be reviewable because it's not done, and they probably should never have released it because it was not ready. And also there was no indication of where any of the scenes that he had written went. So the editor had to take every single scene that's in this book and piece it together in the order that he thought the original author might want it to be in. Meaning, this is like very, very weird. I don't know. Anyway, also this book took me 2 months to read because there were so many days I just couldn't do it. Lastly, I read the book Boy Parts by Eliza something? I don't know. I don't have the physical copy here because I bought the ebook because it was only like $3. And I'd already seen the book floating around, so I was like, oh my goodness, it's only $3. Okay, let's just buy that. And then I read it. And this is one of those books that was like A Little Life in that there was a point where I almost felt like I had to stop reading it because I thought the protagonist was unbearable. That switched around. I don't remember what rating I gave it. I will show it on the screen, but it had to be at least 8 stars, I think, or maybe 7.5. Maybe 7.5. But yeah, the issue with the book originally was that I thought the protagonist was either like too much, like she was just getting annoying, and she's British. It was like annoying non-London British woman does weird stuff, and that's the whole book so far. It felt like I was reading a weird British version of My Year of Rest and Relaxation, but worse and less interesting. But then it turned itself around, and the story actually got going. The book is like 85,000 words or something, so it's a little bit longer than an average novel of this like subject, I guess. Like, I guess you'd expect this to be like more of a 70,000 word ish thing. So, but I think the book really turns itself around and just becomes a lot more interesting and bearable. Like, the protagonist is no longer someone you hate, it's someone who's interesting. And the characters around her, I guess, become less annoying in a I don't want to read about them way, and more annoying in a they're annoying our protagonist and us way. So it's good. And I felt like the ending was definitely decent, but yes, the book, I don't know how to describe it, but the book really got back into the swing of things after like the maybe 20 to 30,000 word mark. It really got going. Otherwise, like the first night reading it, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't get more than like 10 pages in because it felt like it wasn't going anywhere quickly. It felt like we were getting like 30 first scenes in a row, you know what I mean? And we weren't getting anything interesting, or stuff that I hadn't seen before, with lots of remnants of what made My Year of Rest and Relaxation a really, really good book, but it was like doing them like lazily, and it's also like that book came out like 5 years ago or something. I don't know when it came out. I don't remember. But Boy Parts came out 1 or 2 years ago, so this seems derivative and not in a way that's fun. But yes, but it really turned itself around, and I think it ended up much better because of that, and the protagonist became much more enjoyable and bearable, and felt like she had more of a purpose after the first quarter of the book. But yeah, you've got to push through the first quarter. I'd say that's its by far weakest part. Um, but that's it. That's it for reading. I did not. Well, I've read more. I've read 2 other books, and I'm reading a fifth. Next time, you will get to hear about. I read Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. Then I read Save the Cat, the original novel by Blake Snyder, and oh my goodness, do I have thoughts about that book. And then the last book I'll be reviewing is the one I'm currently reading, which is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. There you go. You have something to look forward to. All right. All right, get out of here. Get out.